Hello and welcome to this conversation we are having at ORF with Mr. Sunil Ambekar. Mr. Ambekar is the Saha Prachar Pramukh of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. He is considered to be one of the young rising stars of the Sangh and the person to watch out for in the coming years. Welcome, Mr. Ambekar.
Namaste.
Namaste. Uh, you know, we'll talk about your book, Roadmaps, RSS Roadmaps for the 21st Century. But before that, if we can quickly talk about the Sarsang Chalak, Mohan Rao Bhagwatji's address last Sunday, in which he has talked about a whole host of things. It was virtually a big tent speech. So he talks about एकांत में आत्म साधना, जितनी शक्ति उतनी सेवा हमारी परंपरा है. He talks about selfless devotion and selfless work at this particular point of time when the country is going through some a very difficult phase on account of the COVID-19 pandemic. Almost 70% of the economy is shut down. People are under lockdown. The economically disadvantaged, they are the worst hit and they need help. Government alone cannot do enough. And the Sangh has stepped forward to do a huge amount of seva at this time. Would you like to share some details?
Of course. So we are passing through a very difficult time because of Corona. And not only our country, the whole humanity, the whole world is facing the problem. Sangha, as usual, always come forward to help the needy people. This time, as usual, we have contacted so many organizations, so many people, so many institutions, and tried to coordinate that whatever the administration asks or whatever we feel that it is needed, so that work are being done by not only by Sangha, but it is also coordinating and motivating the people, the institutions also. Generally, people need the food is first, so distribution of food, prepared food. Then we thought about the rations, that is 7 days kit, that is also supplied, that can be used to prepare the food. People need the blood donation because of this lockdown, blood scarcity is there. So senior citizens, they are in need. So volunteers are appointed for family of senior citizens. Then northeastern people and especially the students, those who are outside the northeastern states, they were also very much in need. So the special care was taken. Lot of helplines were initiated by Sangha related organizations, Seva Bharati, and we also coordinated with the administration and of course the different organizations, institutions, wherever needed and whatever the work they are in capacity, that was coordinated.
Bhagwat ji also mentioned,
yes,
संघ स्वार्थ प्रसिद्धि या अपना डंका बजाने के लिए सेवा कार्य नहीं करता है
जी.
लेकिन लोगों को भी तो जानना चाहिए. People should get to know, because after all it is also about perception that at this time, at this point of national crisis, at this moment of national crisis, the Sangh stepped forward and did such enormous amount of work.
हाँ, निश्चित रूप से लोगों को मालूम होना चाहिए. और yes, we have taken care for that also, because a lot of media, our websites, and they are publishing this all activities, and it is to motivate the people that because of observing such type of videos and the work, many people are coming forward to voluntarily participate, voluntarily by donations, and by all means people are coming forward. तो कई बार लोगों को पता लगना चाहिए. उसका एक उद्देश्य ये भी होता है कि जिनको जरूरत है उनको पता लगे कि कहाँ पहुंचना है. दैट्स व्हाई हेल्पलाइन भी शुरू की गई, मीडिया से भी वो हेल्पलाइन पब्लिश किया गया. and the people, those who want to participate, they also must know that what is going on. And in a way, in society, the positive atmosphere is needed, that nobody should feel helpless. Of course, government will take care of the people at a large, but there will be always, if it is 99, then still 1% remains. So the society has to take care of it. So definitely हम लोग भी उसका केयर कर रहे हैं कि लोगों तक ये विषय जाए.
I mean, although this is not the first time Bhagwat ji has said this, but on Sunday, this particular bit stood out. 130 करोड़ का समाज अपना समाज है, ये अपना देश है, इसलिए हम कार्य करते हैं. So, this is something without discrimination. This is something without adopting an exclusionary approach. Something that brings people together.
So actually, Sangha was always in such a practice, because Sangha Swayamsevaks, like our Vidya Bharati schools, they are working in different areas, and they don't see that who is in need, what is his or religion or caste, whatever it may be. So I know so many schools in Kishtawad and Jammu and Kashmir and some northeastern area, where different type of religious faith people, they are also joining, they are also served by the institutions. So I think in Corona, doesn't everybody is equal, and as the Hindutva concept is there, that this is our Bharat Mata and all people, 130 crore, they are our people. So when we say that we will serve, so it means everybody is included. But there are some people who try to deviate the issues. So I think reassertion again and again is necessary. That's why.
He also said, and words to this effect, अगर कोई गलती करता है तो पूरे समूह को नहीं लपेटना, पूरे समाज से दूरी नहीं बनानी चाहिए. His reference was obviously to the Tablighi Jamaat and the disruption caused by the Tablighi Jamaat event in Delhi, which has caused a certain amount of, I think the right word would be anger and disappointment that this has sort of disrupted the entire effort. But why was it necessary to drive home this point?
Actually, that is the reality, because actually the leadership has the duty always that according to situation, they should lead their people. Actually, you see, even if in Makkah, Medina and in most all Muslim countries also, they are closing the mosque and asking the people to pray Allah from their homes. Even the temples are closed. So, but some people, some leadership and some group of people, they deliberately diverted the people, misguided the people, and then even if some they organize the program, no issue. But after the Corona and government instruction, they should have come forward and reported to our medical system or whatever the administration. They should have avoided to put the people, large number of people in danger. So I think, but the whole community doesn't support this, because we can see in the lockdown, we have the larger population. Many of the people, they are staying at the home, keeping themselves safe and keeping the country and others also safe. So I think we should not be the same.
Or is this an effort to reach out, especially among Muslims who tend to have a very negative perception about the Sangh, and the Sangh today is an evolved organization. Today's Sangh is vastly different from what it was, say, 30, 40 years ago. So is this a continued effort to reach out to different sections of society, different sections of the Indian population, and sort of reassure them that, look, you are all the same for us?
See, actually, Sangha, whatever it was before 40 years, is thought process. It is the same thought process in 2020. That has not changed. Actually, over the time when Sangha grows, Sangha work grows, its work and thoughts are expressed by its work. So I think whatever the questions in our journey we face, so the answers are given according to our basic principle. So basic principle was same, that this is our Bharat Mata and all are the sons and daughters of this Bharat Mata. And so some people remember it, some people have lost the memory. So they don't remember it. So if some of our brothers or sisters, they lost the memory, they should be recalled again and again that who you are. So when we say that everybody has the Hindu ancestors or their forefathers, this is the land of Rama and Krishna. So what is it? It is a unifying factor for Hindus and Muslims. It is not a dividing factor.
Moving away from the socio-cultural political front, in view of the impact which the pandemic has had on the economy, not only in India but across the world, country after country is reconsidering economic options. So, how do you see it playing out globally? We'll come to India later.
Of course, see, the economy slowdown discussions were going on before the corona also. And there were discussions about the options were going on. See, the major question is that whether technology will decide the human life or human values and human population, they will decide the choice of technology. That is the major issue. Over the years, technology was adopted in such a way that we created such urban places where we lost our pure air, water, and pollution, save earth. Such type of issues are coming up. Another is the distribution of wealth. That is a major question. In last 100 years, it was capitalism or Russian and model was also tried. So now it is the question whether one such type of fixed theories can work or not. So there will be such an option where we can continue our happiness, we can continue our environment, fair environment, and that option where the wealth distribution will be fair. So that was always required.
Sunilji, before we move on to the India question, just a quick, I would request a very quick reply.
Yes.
The Hindu thought, the Hindu way of looking at life does not abnegate wealth. In fact, we worship wealth.
Of course.
We sort of worship wealth creation, wealth generation. So why should suddenly we start thinking in terms of wealth distribution or redistribution?
No. See, when dharma is there, then whatever so there was always a question and answer in our all Vedic text and other texts also. So how much wealth should be created? So that is the question. So you can create so much of, there is no limit how much you can create the wealth. But till the point you follow the dharma. What is dharma? That whatever you see that who is in need and whatever the surplus you have, it should be dhanam. It should be given to the society back. That is the dharma. So till the point, no option, no problem that creating the wealth.
Ambikaji, now coming to the pandemic and its impact on the Indian economy. Obviously, it will take a long time. I mean, people are talking about 2 quarters, 3 quarters, but I don't think it will be anything less than 2 years before we are back on the rails and moving again. In this situation, to suddenly talk about Swadeshi, so even Bhagavad Ji talks about Swadeshi. He says, Swadeshi vastuon ka upyog, स्वावलंबन अर्थात रोजगार मूलक कम ऊर्जा का खपत करने वाली, पर्यावरण का संरक्षण करने वाली आर्थिक विकास की नीति ही अब राष्ट्र निर्माण का अगला चरण होगा. Now, there is a contradiction here.
Hmm.
It's a country of 1.3 billion people.
Hmm.
We have to refuel the engine of growth, and because we want development, we want every Indian to uh, get a better quality of life, and that will require refueling the engine of growth. Will require higher consumption of energy. It will require higher consumption of resources. It will require further mechanization, new technology. Uh, to talk of Swadeshi in this context, how do you explain it?
See, what you mean by mechanization of what and to what extent and to how you can mechanize the things, everything. See, where the highest technology is required, we should use the highest level of technology. But simple soaps, now we are not in 100 years back. Now we have such technologies where it can be, the soap can be produced in a very same high level quality soap can be produced at a district level. And we can avoid the unnecessary transporting of the soap, unnecessary transportation, and so many things, whatever we are creating unnecessarily, that can be avoided. So
So
now
you are
the
referring to localization of the economy.
localization of economy. See, we are also 1.3, that is 130 crore population. So we have a lot of domestic demand also. So the domestic district wise, we can create such type of, because we have now new technology world now. So we can have such technologies, we can create, give the same level of life. So we need such type of life extended to our rural areas also. When the that type level of life will be extended to rural area, when they will have the enterprises, when they will have a production houses, then only the growth you can see overall. Otherwise, it will be limited to some places and it will be limited to some people. You
But you
can
know,
see graph
India,
of 100 years.
but you know,
Huh?
Indian investors have invested abroad,
Huh?
just as foreign investors have invested in India.
So who is
In
asking not?
in this
See,
world, to
one
talk
thing.
about economic nationalism
No, no,
and
no.
create
You are
barriers,
you are you are taking it wrongly. See, no, see,
I'm happy to be proven wrong.
yes, 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 yes. You are taken it wrongly. See, trade and all exchanges of about the businesses will be open. It will be always a global economy. And India was a global economy always. So there will be investment, there will be transportations. But they will the such a where government comes that it will take care of its population also. So people can invest. If they are investing in some 100 crores or 5,000 crores in one industry, they can invest the same amount in some 500 districts. No issue. They can invest. Why cannot we can do? But that will redistribute the employment, and we can, what we are seeing, there are the huge migrant laborers. Why can't they work in their say, own districts with the same factory, with the same level of factory, but its amount will be less because they will not need a more transportation, and it will also run the growth engine. It will
No,
also
I'm sure because
attract the investment. It will also
the,
attract the investment.
the Uttar Pradesh government, for instance, is
Uh,
now really pushing very hard that any industry which wants to leave China or relocate,
uh,
please come to Uttar Pradesh. We will lay
uh,
out the
uh,
roll out the red carpet for you. So
see,
why?
see, everything will not change in a day, but always we have to think about the direction. Whatever the economic systems or whatever the industrial structure, economical structure in a day we have, it cannot be turned around in a day, in just 2 3 years or whatever. It will be just after, immediately after Corona. But we have to think about our policies in long term. What will be our future generation policies? That must be under thought.
I go back to
Huh.
what we began with discussing, that is the sun trying to uh, sort of present itself as a 21st century organization, which has people like you, some of the brightest minds who are over there, and why popular perception of the Sangh also needs an updation. Your book, for instance, RSS Roadmaps for the 21st Century, there have been a couple of other books on Hindutva, on the way the Sangh thinks and works. So, is there a considered effort? Is there an attempt to sort of not, I won't say reinvent the Sangh, but to reposition the Sangh?
See, Sangha was started with the Shakha, and definitely it was initial years were very much concentrated on networking the Sangha Shakhas. When Seven Sevak, number of Seven Sevaks, their activities, and Sangha grows on, the same work is going on. But the Seven Sevaks, they coming with the Shakha training and with the commitment because of Shakha, they are very much active in different walks of life with the institutions or whatever the institution already established, they are active in those organizations. So I think it is a progressive unfoldment or it is a progressive expression of whatever was in mind. Because initially Sangha was not having a strength to express now this much of seva work done in Corona. How much? Because Sangha has a network. So whenever it has a network, it will express. So now Sangha Seven Sevak are reaching to the all walks of life. So when they are reaching to all walks of life, they are expressing their thoughts and they are trying to restructuring the same field according to the people's need and our ethos and our values. So it is just unfoldment, I will say. And Sangha, definitely, some people have some misunderstanding about Sangha because it was because their innocence or out of deliberate manufactured thought process. So whatever it may be, we don't. I don't want to comment on that. But definitely, as a
Sangha has, in all
as a Sangha, we have to. What many people have said about the Sangha. Now I think Sangha must say about the Sangha.
Yes,
so that people
because
should
in all fairness, Sangh has never held either ignorance or malice against anybody. That is a fact. I somehow can't. Again, I come back to the economic aspect. The 21st century, economics for the 21st century, before COVID-19 and after COVID-19 are going to be vastly different. As I said, country after country is reconsidering options. Economic nationalism is again fashionable. Globalization is receding, or at least the support for globalization is receding. Do you think that we need to look for an Indian alternative? Whether that should be closer to the capitalist, market-oriented point of view, or whether we should go back to old-school socialism. I was a bit alarmed when you talked about wealth distribution.
No, that is, it is neither a socialism because already tried, neither a capitalism already tried, and we can see the lacunas and whatever the things have come up over the world. So now definitely we have to think in a different way, in our alternative way, that how we can go forward, and it will be a not a some part of world is wealthy and some part is under development or having the victims of that development. So I think new development should be like that there should be no victims in other part of the development. So it should be, of course. So you don't see this wealth distribution when I use this word as a socialist word or like that. No, it is not like that, I think.
What you mean is a more equal wealth creation across the country.
See, equal, I don't know what you mean by equal, because, but I will say, the best way is everybody should have an opportunity to participate in the economic process. What happened? Because of this type of economical process from the late British period and after the developed world, the type of economy, it was so many people were thrown out of economical process. Like our rural population was thrown out of the development process. They were having no opportunity to participate. So I think there should be such a model and such a technology. Now we are in the 21st century. We have a lot of options about the technology. No, there is only one technology. We have a lot of n number of technologies. So whatever the situation in specific country, they should adopt that type of technology. So it is not compulsory that what technology Bharat or India accepts, the same technology will be suitable for other countries. So that is actually the Swadeshi, that you will the object is same, that you want to be a wealthy and wealthy with dharma so that you will not exploit the others. And simultaneously the technology will be options. So according to need, or maybe in Mumbai, other technology, in our rural area, maybe other technology, and in some Western world, there will be another technology. So why we should be monolithic about the technologies and way of productions, way of the specification of the products. So there can be n number of designs. No? So the last 50, 60, 70 years, it was only monolithic designs, monolithic productions, monolithic products. And so I think, so now the next world will be not monolithic. It will be like our ethos of our Hindutva and Bharat. It will be multi.
And you think that the time has come for going in for localization of industry?
Of course.
Because that's a very important point.
It means the participation. You are saying something.
No, I said that was a very important point which you made, that if you want to sort of bring about some sort of a lasting solution to labor migration, you have to look at localization of industry, if not at the district level, at least at the zonal level or at the state level, it has to happen. But, you know, sometimes states are not interested. They are not interested in rapid industrialization, localization of industry. They just want to be a laggard state. I don't want to take names, but there are such states.
See, we are in a democracy. So what the people's will, that will be always saluted by the political parties and all leaders, and not only the political leaders, but the others also. So when I say scientists also or technocrats should not also work in isolation, they should also see what the need of the people. That is also required. And so I think in democracy, if we create such a debate among the people, among the common people, and then I think there will be a competition among the political parties and states, that how we can be more and more delivering a party for such type of localization. So I think democracy gives us such a leverage that we can go forward.
And a last word to you.
Yes.
How do you look at the RSS and the larger Sangh Parivar in the post-COVID world, say the next 10 years?
See, all organizations and Sangha is moving to the people in rural areas more and more now, and reaching out to everyone. So when I say the reaching out, because in every mohalla or every village, Sangha has a shakha, and Swayan Sevak, they are reaching out to the people. So I think it will definitely lead to the solutions, either economical, societal, democratic, whatever it may be the issues, it will be towards the consensus, and it will give a solution. Whatever the organizations, they are also planning according to their like in education, they are thinking about the next COVID on, because after COVID, it will be more and more stress on the online. So what will be the combination of online and offline education? The organization is thinking. What will be the labor situation? BMS is thinking. So I think such type of so many organizations in different sectors. They are thinking on all these issues, and definitely they are suggested to the policymakers and in governments also about their inputs from the public, and of course all the deliberations. So I think they will be very much active, and they will be leading the change.
So you are looking, I mean, just to use very layman's terms, the Sangh is not anti-modernist, the Sangh is not anti-progress, the Sangh is not anti-development.
See, Hindu society was always progressive, always developing, always. And Sangha stands for that. So, but if you say this is my definition of modernity, and if you are like that, then only you are modern. So I think that should be that.
No, I didn't say westernization.
Not you means not
modernity, modernization.
See, what is modernity? That is a bigger question. That was also asked. Question was asked to the Western world by Vivekananda also some 125 years ago. So same question stands now. And the Westerners, they themselves are asking themselves whether whatever modernity we define, it is a modernity or not. So modernity cannot be dictated by somebody. Modernity will emerge from the society because it is a natural human character to move forward and to be modern, to be developed. So I think no society will think that we should not be modern. So I think, but you cannot dictate what is the definition of modernity. That is the point.
Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation.
Namaste. I also thanks to RF and Kanchanji. Very well. Namaste.